Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link. Wake that ass up. Get up. Ain't no sleeping here. You should have went to bed earlier. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I should be saying that to myself. Oh my goodness. I'm not kidding you. Guess what I did yesterday, y'all? Lord have mercy. I almost OD'd on Benadryl because I have really bad allergies, and I forgot I had taken two, and went on a site visit for one of my events that's coming up next year, and the tour guide, if you will, she left me in the foyer for about 5 minutes. She had to go take care of something. And I'm surprised I just didn't lay straight down on the couch. I was like, what's wrong with me? I forgot I had taken two, and then 20 minutes later, I took another two, and they hit me like a ton of bricks. So anyway, don't OD on Benadryl. So welcome. Good morning, and welcome to today's installment. You guys are looking good today, as always. Good morning, you beautiful people. And let's see, it's Tuesday, and I slept pretty much throughout all of Monday. So pray for me. So listen, we got a great show for you today. Shauna Jenks is in the house today. And wait till you see her. You're going to think she's some kind of a fashion model or something. She's so gorgeous. But boy, she's going to get down and dirty with us today, talking about grit. Now, you think you know what that means. And there's a ton of people that use that with a different type of acronym for the different letters. But with Shauna, her version of grit stands for God really is there. And I absolutely fell in love with that when I heard it. And I think you will too. But before we get her in here, so yeah, there's the power of words right there. I want to make a couple announcements because I need to. I'll make it quick. If you are in the Chicago area or would like to be, we want to see you at the 2023 Accelerator Business Summit. I'll be your master of ceremonies to this road to legacy mindset extravaganza, August 31st and September 1st. Sanjeev Chopra, Deepak's brother, will be our keynote speaker. I'm so excited. Over 30 stellar speakers and just consultants and coaches and business people ready to change your life will be in the house. You can register now on Eventbrite, or I can simply do this. Here is my discount code. Grab that, do a screenshot, whatever you need to do, but get over and get that discount, 30% off. I think it's $88 a ticket, and so you take off 30%. Not bad, and that's for both days of this event. So thank you to Martha Raza. And also, I'm going to let that run. What's my next one? Oh, boy. If you're in Kansas City this weekend, I leave Thursday. I'm very excited about it. I'll be speaking, keynoting at the Becoming the Best You, Reach for the World, a global extravaganza. And I will be there. You can't see my thing at the bottom because I got the discount thing running, but you know what I mean. Look at all these folks that are going to be there. Yep. 3 days in KC. If you want to hang out, let me know. I'll get you a way to get a discount on your ticket for that too. And then finally, masterclasses, they're available. We have officially launched. It's official. We have our first 2 clients flying in over the next 9 weeks to record their masterclasses. Why did I do this? I did it because I recorded a masterclass about 3 years ago, and boy, it has changed my life. And I mean that in all directions. It has changed my life. And I believe that everything you've mastered, you got it. It deserves a master class. Okay. So that's that. And tomorrow is our monthly Meet the Experts. Now, let me clear something up because some people have been already tagging me. Are you not going to be there? Yes, I'm going to be there. But one of the experts is moderating, and that is D. Grant Smith. He's our guest host tomorrow. I'll be there, but I get to be like, one of the guests. So the experts will all be in the house. Dominique Rivera, the Oracle of Apollo, Tracy Randolph, the Reset Coach, badass Jamie Lane will be there. Corey Castle will be there. D. Grant Smith, and of course, I, yours truly, will be there as well. Now, look at this. Look. Fine. I froze. That's why I couldn't get her off the in and out. Shauna Jenks, pick up a white paging phone. Oh, here she comes. You guys, get on your feet. Standing ovation. Put some hearts on the screen. It's our virtual way of saying welcome. Because here she comes. First timer here. Shauna Jenks, you guys. Put some hearts on the screen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh my God, you look like you've been up for hours. Just,
I,
uh-huh.
well, I'm glad that I looked that way.
You look great. How you feeling today, Shauna?
I feel like I'm excited. I'm very excited to be here. I'm
Good. Where you
excited
at in the world?
Southeast Idaho. So not too far from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A lot of people know that.
Oh
And
yeah, that's a
Yellowstone
big
National Park.
destination site, Jackson Hole. Uh-huh. So I'm gonna dip out, just as I threatened to do. But first of all, couple things, you guys. You know, I'm on the diet thing. So I'm having avocado toast today and one Morningstar Farm vegetarian sausage, one scary looking banana, which my trainer says that's not scary. That just means fully ripened. I wouldn't eat those when I was a kid. If they had those brown, I don't want that, mom. Right. And I'm having a sugar free or
Oh,
natural, what's this? No sugar added applesauce.
nice. Healthy.
We're trying. We're trying. So, you ready to tell everybody who you are and what you do to ease suffering in the world?
Yes.
Okay. All you take it away. I'll be back in about a minute.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Shauna Jenks, and I am the owner and founder of the Grit Girl Tribe. Grit is really my mantra in life, and I basically, the whole point of my platform is I want to empower driven women to rewrite the stories of who they are in the world, to help them conquer fear, to find courage in the midst of adversity and obstacles. I personally have gone through, numerous adversities and obstacles in my life, and I was a single mom for the majority of my parenting life. And throughout that entire journey, I had, so many things that happened that could have really changed the whole trajectory of my life, that could have put me in, circumstances where it would have really caused a ripple effect of generations of, dysfunction and things that would have happened for my kids that I would have never really wanted to happen. And so I asserted grit throughout that entire time frame of my life. And, I did it organically. It was something that came from within. But through that period of time, I had people that continued to ask me, how are you showing up every single day? And it took me a long time to come up with a way to answer that. But I finally did. I felt like I had a vision laid on my heart that really helped me to explain, what grit actually is and how you can achieve it, even when it's not in the midst of being backed into a corner. And so that's what something that I really wanted to do, is to come up with a way to explain grit to people and how you can obtain it in your life, how you can make it through adversities and obstacles and do it at will so that you can accomplish whatever your goals are. So that's who I am, and that's how I want to make the world a better place.
I love it. I love it. Now, let's start. Let's just go back up to the front of the block if we could. Origin
Okay.
story. And you mentioned now, I believe when you said, you were a single mom, but you raised your child and didn't you like inherit some kids or something?
I did. So I in 2013, well, in 2012, I severed a 20-year relationship. So we were married for 10, together for 10, total of 20. I severed that relationship, and a year later, my youngest sister passed away unexpectedly. And so when she did that, she had two children that she left behind, my 4-year-old nephew and my 8-year-old niece. And I was really the only person in our family at that point in time that had the ability to bring them into my home. So, as a single parent of two kids already, I became a single parent of my niece and nephew, and I spent the next year working on what it takes to adopt children, and then I adopted them in 2014 and continued to raise them from then on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Two that didn't get sucked up by the state foster care system, thank God.
Yeah, that was, interestingly, when all that happened, that was something that I was told, is that because on paper, it made no sense for me to bring them in at all. It made absolutely no sense.
Like you could be doing them a disservice.
Yeah, like financially, I just
Yeah.
wasn't in a position because honestly, 2 weeks before, not 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 months before my sister passed away, I actually had resigned from a full-time position with a government contractor to
Yeah.
do a multi-level marketing company full-time. And at the time, I didn't have a business built. So I really had 2 months that I worked my tail off, and I did really well. But then she unexpectedly passed away. And, ironically, even though it made no sense on paper, divinely, it was exactly what needed to happen so that I would have the time and the space to be able to take them in and give them the love and the care that they needed. But
No.
it was a crazy time.
Oh, for 1000%. But so when this all happened, had you started building out this work known as your version of the grit
No.
model? So talk about how is this where you started discovering it, perhaps?
So I
Because you had to pull from someplace in order
yeah.
to talk about that if you could.
Yeah, so no, I think throughout my entire life, because I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional family, um, and I think I asserted grit my entire life. I think my observation of people is that typically we assert grit when we're backed into a corner. Now, obviously, everybody handles situations differently,
Hmm.
but I think there comes a point in everybody's life where you either do or you don't, and if you don't, you accept the consequences of not. And so for me, I looked at my life growing up, and I didn't want to continue on that legacy of dysfunction. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how to stop it, obviously, but I knew that that wasn't the life I wanted to live. So I always persevered, and I always had resilience to some degree. But when she passed away, that was a whole new level. That was a whole new level of
Yeah.
resilience, perseverance. And so at the time I said I was doing, a multi-level marketing company. Well, I had built up a fairly substantial organization within that company. And I had people that relied on me. I was a leader. And so not only, I took in these two kids, but I still had responsibilities to these other people. And they had confided in me, they had trusted in me, they had taken a risk on themselves, believing that I was going to lead them and show them the way to better their lives. And I just felt like I had an obligation where I couldn't let them down. And so
Mm.
I continued to show up. And I mean, even to the extent of, I think I took a week off, you know, to mourn and to bring in the kids. And then I continued to show up because I was a leader. And so, I felt like in order to serve them the best, I needed to be authentic and I needed to be vulnerable, but I also couldn't allow my emotions to overtake me. And so in that process, I think that's where my current version of grit really started to develop, because in this
Mm.
particular organization, I oversaw, I had a lot of women um, in my group. And so they would come to me and, they had life going on. Life happens to all of us. You
Mhm.
can't escape it. And so they would come to me and they would say, how do you keep showing up? I couldn't do this. And that was something I kept hearing over and over again is I couldn't do what you're doing. And, I think that just really resonated with me because I thought, if you were in my shoes, you probably could do what I'm doing,
Right, right,
because I don't know anybody who wouldn't in good conscience do what I'm doing.
exactly.
And so that led me down a path of really just, I guess, meditating, thinking through, praying about, and then I feel like just had a vision light on my heart of what grit really looked like. And that's when, through years of doing this, I came up with the acronym God really is there for grit.
And I get it. We'd say it. Oh, in God we trust. Oh, God the Father,
Right.
Son, and we throw it around. Da, da, da. But then in moments like this, um, it's almost like something takes you and just you're right there.
Yeah.
You can,
It's
I
like,
mean, there's
gonna
no
take your attention.
exactly, exactly. And so I find that so interesting. God really is there. Almost like, well, I thought I knew what that meant, but now I really know what that
Yeah.
means.
Yes.
Because it's in the now. It is the process of, and not just something we learn and put somewhere. It is there. What it did for you in that moment, it does for you every day now, or at least can if you choose it. So
Correct.
how long did it take for you to hit your stride, if you will, with this new life, with now going from 2 to 4 kids, all of this responsibility, and now the grit thing starts coming in. Where was the next large intersection? You had the one where you inherited the kids, things moved along, and it went for a number of years or whatever amount of time it was. And then you find yourself reaching back into the grit pot, because so talk about that. What was the next big?
So the next really big thing that occurred in my life was, so I adopted them. The adoption was finalized in 2014. Well, I decided, because of where I lived, it's still a relatively small town. I mean, it's definitely bigger now than it was back then. But it was kind of unforgiving to some degree. And so what I mean by that is, because of the situation of how my sister passed and what happened, I found myself constantly, having the kids, having people come up and say something, or, give their condolences, and all meaning well, but it just kept resurrecting this instance that happened that was very traumatic. And so I decided I had to do violence.
I'm sorry, because I know you guys are thinking it, because I am too. So it's not like you knew your sister had an illness, and it sounds like it kind of came in out of nowhere, like blindsided.
Yeah, it was like a blindsided. Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened.
Okay. So no one saw it coming.
No one saw it coming. No.
Oh, that adds a whole nother layer to it.
Yeah, no, it was a complete, like, whoa, this is crazy. So, because of that, I decided that I wanted to relocate to a different place. Well, long story short, basically my mom had grown up in Florida, and those were some of the happiest memories I could remember of my childhood, was her telling stories of living in Florida. So I decided, a divinely inspired decision, I decided to actually relocate to Florida. And when I did that, I did it on a commission-based job only. Now, remember, I had built up my organization here in Idaho, where I do currently live. I relocated back, but I had built up my organization. So I thought it won't be an issue to go down there and do the same thing.
Watch, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's not that difficult, right? I mean, it is. There's a lot of work involved in it, but I just figured it wouldn't be that difficult. Well, I completely underestimated the power of having a network, a family, of friends. I didn't know anybody down there really. And so when I moved down there, I didn't have a support system. And I also just completely underestimated not knowing a different area and how that area would react to, what it was that I was doing for a living. And so when I moved down there, it was the worst. It was probably the worst year of my life, harder than the year that my sister passed away. It was so difficult. I ended up losing my business because when I had my business, I had a vehicle associated to that business that I'd earned the use of. I lost my vehicle. So I ended up finding myself in South Florida. Here I am, this college graduate who had worked in this amazing company. I made good money, great benefits. I took a leap of faith and a huge risk on myself, and I went to do a multi-level marketing company. Did phenomenal. My sister passes away. I'd taken our 2 kids, and then I decided to relocate just to better our lives. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I ended up almost losing everything. And
why do you think now that decision was made? What do you think it was all about? Because it's never about just one thing. And I don't believe in mistakes, like you hear me say. It's just universe keeping our shit interesting. So now that you've done the return trip and come back to where it all began, what do you feel the purpose of the entire trip to Florida and having to go through all that? What is that? Do you think you'd be doing what you do today as far as working with women in this grit thing had you not gone down there I think you got baptized into your own teachings?
I did. I did. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. No, I did. No, it's what made me gritty. It is where I learned that I don't have to be backed into a corner to make something happen. I can have the worst obstacles happening in my life that I could ever imagine. It's not like you sit down and you would never sit down and if somebody said write out the blueprint of what you want your life to look like, it would never include obstacles like that ever. You would never put them in there.
Great point.
Why would you do that?
Great point. Yes, and I think I'll break a hip on the somewhere in this quarter and pick up an
I'll lose my
STD
job.
next Friday.
Exactly.
Okay.
No.
Good point.
So I love concepts. I love acronyms. I love analogies. So I came up when we lived down in Florida. You know, I came from Southeast Idaho, right? It's a relatively small town. It's like the typical small little Americana town that you can think of. And then I moved to South Florida, completely different. And I love Florida. I have all the love in the world for Florida because I had some amazing growth experiences there.
Mm-hmm.
But I came up with a concept when I lived down there because I'd never encountered hurricanes before. And when we moved down there, the first year that I was down there, Hurricane Matthew actually was going to hit. And I don't know if anybody remembers Hurricane Matthew. That was the one that looked like the skull on the meteorologist reports. That's what they were saying that it looked like.
Oh.
And it was awful. And it was going to be a category 5, and it was the eye of the storm was going to hit exactly where I moved to. And at that point in time, because of the financial issues I was having, I couldn't leave. And so we literally we shuttered up our condo that we were staying in, and I'm like, I'm going to make the best of this. And at that point in time, I had a lot of friends and family that were calling me. They were panicking. They're like, you need to get out of there. You need to leave. Because of course, what the news shows is always 10 million times worse than what's actually happening on the ground. But in any case, at that point, I came up with the concept of praying hurricane hard. And I think that is when it really hit me that you can only go so far, and then you have to really rely on faith for the rest. But the concept of praying hurricane hard is, in a hurricane, they send you out checklists of things that they give you plenty of time for you to prepare and do what you need to do. You get checklists, you know what you're supposed to get for supplies, you know relatively how you're supposed to, shutter up your home, tighten everything up so that everything hopefully comes out the best that it can be. But at the end of the day, after you've done all of that, you've done everything that they told you to do. You've checked all the boxes. You cannot rely on anything else but faith, because you cannot direct or determine where that storm is going to hit,
right?
How hard it's going to hit, the damage it's going to do. You have, and frankly, hurricanes, they up to the minute they can say this is where it's going to go, and then it will shift and it will go somewhere else. And that's what happened in Matthew. And if anybody remembers, it wobbled. And so when that little wobble out in the Atlantic Ocean actually veered it off enough so the eye of the storm did not hit where I lived. And that's when I came up with that theory, that concept of praying hurricane hard. And that's when I realized you can do anything if you have the faith and know that God really is there with you. Because the worst that's going to happen, now granted, in that situation, it could have been catastrophic, but I didn't have a choice. And all I could do was pray. And I did everything that I was supposed to do. And, I really believe that faith is such a huge foundation for everything that we step out into this world to do. But I think that we get so caught up in the hurricane surrounding us, the adversity that we're facing, the obstacle, a divorce, a family member passes away, we lose a job, finances didn't go the way we expected them to. We get so caught up in the here and now. And then I think we start focusing on things that we should have done better in the past. Or we start focusing on things that we want to do in the future, but we forget we need to be present right now. And that's where grit really comes in. And to me, grit is staying present in the moment and understanding that God is with you no matter what.
No matter what. And
as long as you pray,
Well, I remember how when it started becoming clear to me in my journey, I realized one of the things I was doing was, let's say I found a $50 bill in a jacket pocket that I didn't know I had, and I was broke or needed gas money or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I'd find it, even though I'd been praying for some type of a solution, as soon as I'd find it, I go, oh, wow. Oh, my goodness, out of nowhere. Now, I've already spoken where it really came from when I said, oh, my goodness. But then I back it up with out of nowhere. It wasn't out of nowhere. But then I realized as soon as I had a panic situation, the first words I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Oh, my God. You always, when people panic, now you know me. Oh, now
Yep,
you're going to call me.
exactly. Now you remember who I am.
Exactly. And I love what you're doing because it is proof positive that if it's there when you're panicky, when you are more not like you know what I'm saying? Because you're like all over the place and, which way do I go? Which way do I go? You're panicking. Desperate people make desperate moves. But it's like, I believe this. This is how I do it. When we do our best, when we've done our best, you step right from that onto the carpet of faith and you allow it to take care of all the rest. And that's just how it has to be. So, wow. Okay. So you made it through the hurricane, clearly. When did it start making sense? Why this all had to have been? Wait a minute. I think I want to go back to where I originated and I'm going to do this work. Because a lot of people would probably think if she went back there, why not go back and pick up where you left off or try to get your group back, try to rebuild that business that was so successful. But that's not what happened. So your priorities have completely flipped. So you come from the hurricane, literally the eye of the storm, back to home base, ground zero. And now what are you doing? How much has it changed for you and your family?
Well, I can tell you, so it was a process. I mean, I was in Florida for 7 years. So that hurricane, the one that I'm speaking of, that actually happened the first year that I was down there. I think the next 7 years was me really understanding, I'll preface it with this. I believe grit has become a really worldly term. I think that in the sense that, well, just toughen up, buck up. You can do this. The tougher you are, and I do believe that it does take mental toughness and courage to make hard things in your life happen. And what's hard to you may not be hard to me, vice versa. But regardless, it does take grit. But I think those 7 years, it was God molding me into the woman that he needed me to be. And we're not done yet.
No.
It is not like I've arrived.
But you're definitely on your way. And
I'm definitely on my way.
Right. And you realize it's like, guessing our way to a destination as far as watching the screen with the coordinates, the GPS coordinates on it. It's a big difference. And I wanted perfect timing when you said that the term grit has become like a worldly type thing. Let's take a look. Angela Duckworth is like one of the foremost authorities, or so they say, on grit. She's done a couple TED Talks, TEDx Talks, and whenever you find her, all she talks about is grit. She has a 1-minute little version of what she believes grit really is. Let's take a listen.
I define grit as the combination of perseverance and passion for a very long-term, meaningful goal. By perseverance, I mean working hard, finishing what you start, even though you might encounter setbacks. And then I define passion as having an internal commitment to something that doesn't waver, that you wake up and you think like, I'm still interested in this, not only the next day or the next week, but months, or in the case of adults, maybe not young people, but in adulthood, even decades. So this combination of perseverance and passion is, to me, an important determinant of achievement, but it's not all of character. Character is much broader. And yes, it includes grit, but also things like curiosity and gratitude, all the things really that make us people who are leading lives that are helpful to ourselves and helpful to other people.
Nice. So,
Very-
yeah. So when you hear that coming back at you, grit,
Yeah.
how does that lay? Let's say that the two versions were transparencies and you were to lay one on top of the other. How do they click together in your space when you hear that definition and then the definition that you live with?
Yeah. So I've read her book and I love her. I think she's brilliant.
Oh,
First
you
of all.
did?
Yeah, I've read her book. I
Okay.
studied her book. And so she's brilliant,
She
first of
is.
all. And I actually completely agree with her on the definition of grit. I think that if you were to lay it transparency over what I've come up with, in terms of the definition of grit, not really much different, other than it is passion and perseverance. If I hadn't had a passion, if I didn't have a passion for what I'm doing now, I wouldn't be on this show with you. I wouldn't be continuing to push forward. And I've had a lot of setbacks with, developing this idea and this concept and helping implement it with people. And those setbacks haven't been with the program necessarily. They've been with life. And so I think what she's talking about is that passion and that perseverance are what are you willing to push through no matter what's going on. And I think that is absolutely the accurate definition of grit, because you have to have something that is it is your willingness to get out of bed in the morning. It is what drives you, it's what excites you, it's what you were put here to do. And for me, I know I was put here on this planet to make people's lives better. I've always known that since I was little. I didn't know how I was going to do it,
Right.
but I knew I was put here to inspire and cheer others on, because I know what it feels like to be the person who doesn't receive that. And it's very difficult. And so that was my passion and my perseverance. Where I think that I add on to that definition is that, as I've stated many times, and as you would see in her book if you read it, life happens to all of us. It would be if we did not have obstacles and adversity and life didn't get in the way and all we had to rely on was our passion and our perseverance, we would all be achieving everything that we ever set out to do. Mm-hmm. The problem is that life happens and these twists and these turns happen and our emotions get in the way. And then we start to doubt and we fear. That's what happened to me. I started to doubt. I deal with it still. Doubt, fear, am I good enough? Can I do this? Because every time something pops up, it's almost like it's a mirror staring you in the face, showing you exactly the opposite of what you're trying to believe about yourself. And life has this amazing way of reflecting back to us exactly, what we're scared the most about. And so
yes,
that's when I felt like there's got to be more to grit than that. And that's when I realized, just really praying about it, it really is, okay, you have the passion, you have the perseverance, push through. And if you have the faith that God has got you, He is above you, beside you, around you, below you, everywhere. You cannot fail. Even if you don't end up reaching the goal that you initially had set out to reach, there will be lessons that will have occurred along the way. If you know that faith guided you, there will be, like you talked about, $50 showing up in your pocket. I bet you met a number of people along the way that probably opened doors for you that you could have never imagined. You probably met people that said something to you that sparked something in your mind that made you realize, wow, I really am capable. I really can do this. And I believe that that's what happens when you have that faith that God is really there. I think that He will put people or things or instances or circumstances in your life to help you continue to persevere and push forward to realize that you're going the right direction. And that's how I feel like that definition aligns. I think you're frozen on my end. I hope I'm not frozen.
I am, no, but you keep going because I'm watching on my device. So I was reading the captions. I know everything you said. So yeah, I told you, Chicago, we get our internet clearly from the dollar store. I'm not kidding. We're going to take just a brief break. And when we return, I'd like to round out the rest of this interview with the incredible Shauna Jenks, talking about her work. She has a program coming up for women and why she chose specifically women and everything that's right around that corner known as the future for not just Shauna Jenks, but perhaps even for you. A lot more show in front of us. Don't you dare go away. Great time to share out the broadcast. We'll be right back. Back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris, your host. And you just saw Rise with Sid McNary, an independent presidential candidate for 2028, bringing a show to the Trajectory Network October 1st. Rise with Sid McNary. So we'll give you more information as we get closer to that. Check him out. Google him. Great guy. His entire platform is about peace worldwide. So, Shauna, pick up a white page and phone. There you are. So, welcome back. Welcome back. So, let's talk about this work that you've put together to serve specifically the population of women. What kind of women is this grit? Because talk about your program. Tell them about your program. I think it's awesome.
So the program that I have is called Find Your Grit Factor. And it really does teach you, it basically helps you take a deep introspective look into yourself to figure out what may be holding you back, what mental blocks you might have that are keeping you from pushing forward. But it starts by looking at what's going on outside, because I think that's, at least in my instance, that's what I was most often apt to blame is, the circumstances surrounding me. When in reality, those are things that, I may be able to control, I may not be able to control, but I can always control the way I think and what comes out of my mouth and my actions. And so that's what Grit Factor really teaches women to do. It teaches them to look through a circumstance, because I don't believe that, you hear a lot of people say you can overcome it. And I love the term, but I don't really believe you overcome anything. I think you have to go through it.
Exactly. Don't to get over it. You'll find a way around it. There must be some way from underneath this. No, to get to it, you got to get through it.
Yeah. No. And if it's happening, what I've learned in my own life is if it's happening, regardless whether it was something I created or somebody else created, and I just happen to be a consequence, there is a lesson in it that I need to learn. And that is what Grit Factor teaches you to do. It starts to teach you to look for the opportunities that exist within the obstacles, the ways that you can grow and you can harness new perspectives, new ways of looking at something, new ways of doing something, so that you can add those to your tool belt, so that when the next thing arises, you are that much stronger and you already know it about yourself. And so in effect, it really teaches you how to ascertain grit at will versus doing it when you
Backed
have
into a
to because
corner.
something happened.
Right. So exactly. So you can pull it out of your toolbox before you have to rebuild from ground zero.
Yes.
Like when you see something kind of, a slat in the fence falls down, you don't wait until the whole fence is on the ground to start. You can get something. I know what I need. Let me nail this back up. Boom. Back to functional.
Right.
And I want to say this too. What I really am so excited about this program of yours is because we always hear about, I do a lot of work with kids, and everybody, all the professionals, kids are so resilient. Kids are so resilient. And they are. We are, because we're still kids somewhere in there, hopefully. But I think when it comes to how women are resilient, how they wear every hat most of the time, whether there's a man there or not, they still wear all these hats because they just grab them and take them off the hook and put them on, and then deal with why the real bearer of the hat is missing and deal with them later. But they don't like look around. Well, just leave the shit sitting there going south. They jump right in.
Right.
They jump right in. And so why do you think, what is it that you would say, Shauna, makes it so important to you? Let me ask you this. Here's the question I'm hearing. And I'm shocked about this, okay, because it's coming through me. It's not coming from me. I have a feeling from what I'm hearing that something says you wish your sister would have had just a little more grit. Had she known about grit? Something about, how can you shed a little light on that? I see you shaking your head. What do you think what I just said means? Because I have no clue.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So I'll tell you, I think you're absolutely right. I think women wear a lot of hats. I think in this day and age, we all have to wear a lot of hats, but women,
In particular.
because of the roles in their life,
Yep.
moms, daughters, wives, whatever, leaders, owners.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of that, sometimes they lose the core of who they are because they are playing so many different roles, and they lose sight of their gifts and what they were actually brought here to do. And so, you bringing up my sister, she was such an incredible person. Funny, intelligent, kind, loving, caring, but she had gotten lost in the world around her. She had gotten lost in all these obstacles that were flurrying around her like a storm. And in that, she lost sight of who she was and what she was really gifted with and what her talents were and how the role she really played in God's, tapestry of this world.
Ooh,
And
chills.
and so for me, I never ever want to see another woman so lost or stuck that she's lost sight of who she is, that she forgets how unbelievably important she is here in this world, how unbelievably important her role is, how unbelievably important her role as a mother is, as a leader in her home. I think we have so many things placed on our shoulders, but we lose sight of who we were really born to be and these unique gifts and qualities that nobody else has them. Nobody else has them. You have yours, I have mine, and nobody else gets to exercise and utilize those. And I never want to see another woman so lost that she forgets what she has and when she forgets what she was gifted to give this world, because I believe God needs her to do that so that everything else in her life can function the way that it's supposed to. And that's what I believe Grit Factor is really about, is getting back in touch with who you are, your gifts, your talents, and how you can interweave those into the life that you're currently living. It's not toss your life out the window and go off and live your dreams. It's how can I start to step into myself and show the world who I am while I have all these roles, I have all these things, all these adversities that I face, all these obstacles, but I am still important and I am needed and necessary. And that's why this is so important to me.
It is. And I just love the way you color in the story. You really are a natural, Shauna. You truly are. No question, no question. And I'm gonna tell you, I got a download while you were talking, and I'm just gonna put it out there. You guys, you heard Shauna talk about she had this business and da 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 da, but it has to come out because it's gonna help tie everything together. And we're in the last 5 minutes of the interview, so I'm gonna bring it in. Shauna was very successful inside the Mary Kay organization. So she had the pink car. That's what she's talking about. Right, right, right. And it's so interesting because why I heard to bring this in was look how successful you were working with women about what it all looked like from the outside. And now you go down there and then you get sent back. And now you're working with women on how it feels from the inside.
Yeah.
Not about how it looks, about how it feels. And so it's like a total flip of, and I know that you're going to take all the success you had with the outer thing, the Mary Kay thing, you're going to be many times over more successful because this is the hard place to get people to look. This is the hard thing to get people to do. But you could have gone back to where you are and started from scratch. And by now, most likely you would, because once you've done it, you never forget. You could have
Right.
been right back up there, but you still chose back in ground zero to move forward with this thing that is brand new, but so vitally important to the future of so many, not just women, but the men that support these women, the children that these women raise, the communities that these women affect.
Right.
So how do people get into the program? I have your website, Shauna, at gritgirltribe.com. Is that the best place to go to continue the dialogue with you? Should
Yes.
someone talk
Yes.
about what they'll find when they get over there?
Yeah. So, well, in full transparency, my website's still a little bit of a work in progress.
Yeah.
But yes, if you email me at shauna@gritgirltribe.com, I can email you all the information.
Right.
I'd love to have a phone conversation with you or a Zoom conversation. I love to get to know people and just kind of hear their hearts. I had a phenomenal conversation with a young lady yesterday, actually. Lauren, I gifted her a free coaching session, and it was amazing. She texted me last night based on what we had talked about, and she already had an epiphany about herself, and she was so excited. And so that's if you are somebody that, you're driven, you've already, you've achieved success, but maybe you just don't quite feel fulfilled. Maybe there's something missing. Maybe there's some obstacles in your way, or you're facing some adversities, and you think that they're going to falter you or keep you from doing what you're supposed to do here. I'd love to have a conversation with you because that's who I want to help. I want to prevent that from happening so that you can go out into the world and you can be the woman that God designed you to be, because I believe God really is there.
I know he is. Can I get an amen? You guys get over. Yes, I'm putting that up on the screen right now. Yes, I will. I'm serious. I think it's absolutely awesome. And what was your sister's name? Or what is it? Samantha. So I'm going to just say this. I know it. I can see it through and through. You're co-creating this thing together.
Yeah.
Together. Yeah. There are no mistakes. Everything happens to keep this thing called life interesting. And so I just love what you're doing. You guys get over and continue the conversation with Shauna. So Shauna, what would you say? Here's your Jerry Springer moment. What would you say to that woman out there that's just sitting on the fence? She's just a little afraid. She doesn't know if she could do this. I don't believe I have any grit. Oh, it sounds so great for those ones that she could help, but I'm probably too far gone. I'm too lost. I'm too whatever. Those lies that TOO tell us. What would you say to her?
I say stop listening to the enemy, because girl, you have everything you need. I promise you, you've already had grit in your life, and I can show you where you've had it, and we can take those tools that you learned that you probably don't even realize you have. And we are going to go kick down doors. We are going to go break down walls, and we are going to go show the world who you are and who God designed you to be, because the enemy doesn't have any power over you.
None. Zip, zilch. To the left, Felicia. Right. I'm so excited. I love this new program. I love the work you're doing. Say hello to your wonderful guy friend in your life. And we'll talk about that the next time we have Shauna on the show.
He's
I'm
amazing.
sure she'll be back. Looking forward to it. Congratulations on all of the work you're doing and all of the work you are yet to do, because I know we've only seen the beginning. So thank you so much for that. And for all of you out there, I want to say thank you for coming in today, pouring in just by being here, helping to fulfill what I believe to be one of the greatest promises provided us. And that's the one that assures us when two or more of us, that's all it takes, come together in a spirit of being of service to this world, easing suffering wherever we can. Spiritual magic is the outcome. Join us tomorrow. The experts are in the house, and we want to see you. I'll meet you, God willing, right out front on the front porch. We're together. We create yet another illuminated conversation. Now get out of here. And as I tell you every day, I love you. And there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. God bless you. I'll see you soon. Have a great, great day. Thank you, Shauna. Awesome job. Awesome job. Bye, everyone.